ALG now in the first pick position. I doubt we're going to see eUnited wait as long to pick their jungler this time.
I would anticipate that eUnited probably want to get Verizio, one of his top priority junglers in the first 3 selection, because otherwise I think that it places them in just too awkward of a position, because while I don't think he played the Arachne poorly, I just think that there wasn't really any there was no opportunity for him to try and utilize it at all.
There's a reason why Arachne doesn't get played very often in the SPL. We'll put it that way. I mean, she does great in a lot of areas, but in a competitive setting when you've got 5 people who understand how to play around what you want to do and where your weaknesses are, it can be pretty difficult to be successful. We saw that there for eUnited's jungler. Allegiance, they get the Fafnir to start it off. They pick Fafnir over that Ganesh, and Polar Bear Mike had a big impact in that game, Taco. I think, as you mentioned, that Phoenix Siege on the left, that defense from eUnited was largely credited to Chaos and Polar Bear Mike at that instance, but still wasn't enough for eUnited to find the victory.
And I also just love the selection choice by ALG to pick up the Fafnir for Neilma. That is a Guardian that we've seen perform quite well on already, and I think that it's a very potent pick for him. And I also really like the counter selections by eUnited. Bellona and Soul immediately. I love both of those gods.
It's exactly what ALG picked in their second pick position in game 1. Ended up working out pretty well for both Cyclone Spin and Matt Yankee. Allegiance, they're going to go right to a jungler, Susano, this time around. Again, keeping it out of Verizio's hands, one of his best gods, but also a potent one for Weekend. And Matt Yankee doesn't have the soul, so he's going to go right to the Isis. Objective control here already between the Fafnir and Isis is going to be very difficult to contend with.
A little bit more risky, though, for Matt Yankee on the Isis in comparison to a Soul who has that self-peel. And already, eUnited, I think that this could potentially be a Bellona jungle, or even the Osiris jungle.
Yeah, I think that Verizio likely has his pick already between those 2 warriors, though. PBM is one to be willing to experiment with things like Bellona support,
true.
So could see that coming out of eUnited. Now Allegiance has a choice because they probably don't know exactly what they want to ban away. Could always safely ban away Hunters. You assume that Soul is going to be in the mid lane for Chaos, or they're just going to go right for that Ganesh ban, trying to keep that out of Polar Bear Mike's hands.
I actually like the decision to ban away the Ganesh, because I feel as though you can kind of expect it to not be a Guardian selection or the support selection between the Bellona and the Osiris, just because you want a little bit more of hard CC on the side of eUnited. But just in case, just in case it is, you can't really go wrong with banning away Geb and Ganesh.
No, I've got no problems with those bans at all. eUnited going to get some hard CC anyways with the Cupid pick there for Panda Cat, and Ocean's going to go for the Medusa, which can get shut down by Cupid in lane. Vamana as well can have trouble up against Cupid if he doesn't have his ultimate, so Allegiance does pick some characters that still have that mobility. Cupid, of course, does great against Susano because Susano doesn't have any CC immunity in his kit and also has multiple dashes.
And Khepri. I do love the selection by eUnited, because not only are they already a tanky composition, but the Khepri just provides that survivability factor for the Soul that you really want. You just want to protect your Soul. That's exactly what ALG did in game number 1. They protected Matt Yankee so heavily, and the second that somebody tried to aggress, I mean predominantly Benji, he just got turned on immediately.
Ready to go. Game number 2. eUnited trying to even it up against Team Allegiance, whereas ALG, they find this victory here. They're in a great spot to get to DreamHack Valencia. It is going to be Verizio on that Bellona in the jungle. So Benji, again, gets the rerun on the Osiris. It's going to be Verizio playing Bellona in the jungle.
And Benji on Osiris has got to be one of the most annoying things in the world. I mean, even though his team wasn't able to secure the victory in game number 1, he still felt like such an impact throughout that game. And it's just so annoying trying to deal with this god.
So now you've got the 2 warriors that everyone's worried about with Death Toll on the same roster, both Bellona and Osiris, but Cyclone Spin going for a pretty defensive warrior here in this lane. Verizio starting in the mid lane is even enough to force the Isis to give up the early clear. Usually not something that you see. Isis is about as good as it gets in terms of early wave clear. Immediately eUnited, they go to the enemy speed buff, and it looks like Weekend and Matt Yankee want to do the same thing on their side.
I actually like the decision by Weekend and Matt Yankee to not really hesitate and wait to see if they can steal the speed. You know that you can secure this speed buff at least and take a safe route. While you might miss a few creeps, they might miss the melee creeps from the wave, but if they go for the blue buff or even the early gank onto Benji, I don't think that Benji was expecting this at all.
Benji's in some trouble immediately, and Weekend and Matt Yankee both showing up, but look at where the jungle and mid are coming from eUnited. Weekend does get the first blood onto Benji, But Verizio and Chaos both lurking, and especially with Cyclone Spin being so low, this could be a return kill opportunity. Verizio the first one in. Stellar Burst onto Cyclone Spin. Met Yankee's Aegis though is good. And now ALG is turning it around. Chaos gets into the Disapparate. Benji's teleported in. Met Yankee may be pushing up a little bit too far here. Chaos gonna fall to the hand of Cyclone. He gets a kill for his troubles and then clears the path away. ALG turn it around once more on eUnited, finding 2 early kills.
That was such a sick counter engage by ALG. And I think where that really went wrong for eUnited is Verizio tried to bludgeon Met Yankee, who had the Aegis popped, instead of trying to get that bludgeon off onto Cyclone, who I think it might have killed.
It may have, but with Cyclone dashing away and being so quick, I don't know if it would have even connected though, Taco. That bludgeon pretty short range on that camera down.
His dash was on cooldown though. Initially, his dash was on cooldown when they first tried to initiate that setup, and I mean, it cost Weekend a Sunder, and that's about it, but if it means a first blood kill for a Susano, I'll take it every time.
Ocean's stunned, and Neilma gonna step in, take some shots there with the body blocks. Looks like eUnited is getting the better end of this duo lane at least, and that's basically what you expect whenever you've got a Khepri on your side, even with a low push hunter such as Cupid.
Cupid can be a big bit of a nuisance. Plus, the Khepri isn't any damage to really scoff at. He's got a fair amount of damage in his kit as well for the early game stage.
Really controlling that lane pretty well. Panic at the first to hit 5 on the left side of the map. Now Weekend in a little bit of trouble on this right-hand side, but the blue buff still goes Allegiance's way. Verizio not going to get punished heavily for it, despite being low on mana without his ultimate, just because of how low Weekend is in both HP and mana.
If Weekend had a little bit more mana available to him, I think we might have seen a turnaround, but still works out efficiently for that jungler. But I think it's kind of impressive how Verizio hold that thought.
Neilma in some trouble on this left, but just not enough damage out of Oceans and Panicat and Polar Bear Mike to find the support quite yet. Both the ultimate and the heart bomb committed. Still not quite enough. There's the Sunder on the PBM. Doesn't have the dash. Probably has enough mana to give himself that Scarab's Blessing, but it's not in time. Oceans finds PBM, and Neilma finds Panicat a double kill in the duo lane. PBM just must not have had enough mana there.
That turnaround was absolutely insane by ALG. I thought, if anything, they were just going to disengage, but as soon as their ultimates became available, ALG just knew, Neilma especially, he knew I can just frag on Fafnir.
And that's what Fafnir does best. Frags. Now Chaos in trouble. He's going to use the ultimate to give him the CC immunity to get away from the knockup coming out of Weekend. Verizio already used his ultimate. Weekend very, very low, but that time, I mean, it's been turnarounds by Allegiance left and right. That time, a good turnaround by eUnited, turning it around on Weekend. And
that also kind of goes back to what I was initially about to say, in that I thought it was kind of impressive how Verizio and Benji still hit level 5 before Cyclone and Weekend, despite the early trade out going in favor of ALG.
Well, ALG up 4-0 in kills. Now they're looking at the Gold Fury here, and this is what ALG love to do, man. As soon as they draft this Isis, no one from eUnited, even in the area code. Mei Yankee gonna drop a Circle of Protection. This one is gone. You can mail that to the bank. The Legions get the first Gold Fury of the game at the 4.5-minute mark.
And already nearly a 2K gold lead in favor of ALG. That's... I mean, it doesn't seem like much, but at only 5 minutes, that's kind of rough.
The good news, though, for Allegiance, or excuse me, for eUnited, is that they aren't too far behind in XP. A pretty big gold differential, yes, but XP was basically even across the board. In fact, Verizio's going to hit 7 before Weekend does in the jungle, so farming up pretty well despite the early kills going ALG's way.
But there is a slight experience lead in favor of the dual lane for ALG, and I think that that's certainly something to keep an eye on, because Fafnir Medusa into Khepri Cupid, it really does come down to the XP lead there, because both these hunters are fairly ability-based. So one extra point added into an ability could make all the difference in a trade.
Panicat not letting Oceans in to the lane for the moment. With Neilma coming around, Oceans feels confident enough to step up. Panicat now realizes that he might be in a little bit of trouble. Neilma does find the stun, which means going to be 2 guaranteed auto attacks for Oceans, and forces that Cupid back a little bit.
He does have the heart sustain, though, which will keep Panicat able to stay fairly safe in this duel lane. Although he is going to need to keep an eye out for those little side ganks from Neilma, because a Fafnir has more than enough capability of diving early on. Grouping
here from eUnited. They're trying to go for the blue buff, and I don't know if Weekend knows. He's trapped in that circle. Does get out of danger in time. Verizio went with the Eagles rally. Didn't really find a home. Weekend doesn't have any purification beads, remember. And now he's in trouble. Immediately gets abducted and toasted. That's exactly what I'm talking about. Can't dash in there without any beads. Sunder's not going to do you a whole lot of good.
That response by Polar Bear Mike is kind of one of those moments where Mike was probably saying out loud, "What are you doing, Weekend?" Yeah. Former teammate, so you know there's going to be some healthy banter back and forth between the two. And you're right. I could just hear PVM's voice in my head, screaming at Weekend. Man, those are two guys who are really fun to watch at LAN. Both always bring quite a bit of energy. Neilma, a little bit of trouble on that right-hand side, but going to stun Verizio off of him and walk back to safety. It's interesting that Neilma's, and well, I guess both supports really are at the same level as the junglers even. I mean, that death did cause Weekend to fall a little bit behind as far as farm is concerned, but you can tell that both of these guys are getting plenty of gold distribution in the lanes. Both of these guys really like to farm up pretty heavily. Jeff Inla is one of those supports that is very unselfish with his farm. You know, you guys take it, I'll fall a little bit behind. It's more important that you guys get your items. PBM and Neilma both the other style where it's, you know, if I can get my aura items online faster, then that's better for everybody. So I don't think there's really a right or wrong way to go about it. Just whatever your team kind of dynamic fits better. Oceans will be taking away that red buff, and I like the choice for him to still take the red buff as opposed to Met Yankee, because even though it is an Isis, and Isis has excellent early game, I'd rather see the Medusa having the boxing potential against the Cupid. Especially with that Ichball completed for Oceans. Panicat just back to base and has been pretty patient with deciding what he wants to go for that second item. Must be waiting for the gold. Weekend gets stunned and abducted. Met Yankee can't save him with the Spirit Ball either. Was out of range, and Chaos is going to get the kill. Verizio, a little taunt action there in the mid lane. He's probably feeling himself a little bit, especially after the last game. Got to try and boost that confidence again. Yeah, sometimes those taunts are less for your opponent and more for yourself. Like, yeah, you're a bad dude. You can do this, man. And, bad hombre. Yeah, and Verizio, as you mentioned, did not have the greatest of game one, so boosting himself up here in game number 2. That's 2 kills unresponded by ALG. They were down. eUnited rather was down 4-0, and now 2 kills back to back puts eUnited right back into this game. And I like the decision-making by eUnited to not fall back as far as aggression is concerned. They are capitalizing on Weekend not having purification beads available. And it's not like a Robin where you've got that immunity in your kit. You can't really afford to dash in if Mike's around. He'll abduct every time. I mean, yeah, Susano incredibly mobile. The most mobile guy in the game. Maybe Serket could give him a run for his money, but no CC immunity in that kit. Cyclone Spin comes around the back and steals away one of those mid-harpies. 3-man root out of Polar Bear Mike, but no one there to follow up off of it. I don't think anybody wanted to follow up off of it, considering how Verizio's already half health and probably around 30% mana. It's kind of a risky engagement to make. Blue buff once more going to be dropped by Weekend, now falling a little bit farther behind Verizio in terms of farm. Neilma going to hold that wave for him in mid along with Met Yankee to make sure that both these guys can get as much farm as possible. That Gold Fury is due to respawn right now. Now up back, and immediately ALG start to head to this side of the map. Panicat and Polar Bear Mike are here this time around, but I don't know if ALG know that they're here, so they're going to start it up. Weekend on that front side now realizes that eUnited know what's going on. Cyclone's been teleported in though, and Met Yankee finds a stun on a Polar Bear Mike. Verizio interrupts the Wingus. Now Met Yankee's in a lot of trouble. That Fields of Love is good. Verizio making life difficult for men on the backside. Polar Bear Mike had to res himself, and the good peel on the backside means that Met Yankee's okay. Benji finds Oceans, but Weekend finds one of his own. Pandacat is the one to fall for eUnited. Now around the enemy red buff, Chaos, 1 HP, just able to get out of danger. Courtesy a good peel. Verizio, I don't know if he's going to be able to get out of this one. No, Weekend and Neilma combined to bring him down. And what looks like a good engagement right off the bat for eUnited gets turned around once more, and the Legions end up on top. It was only Verizio trying to solo commit onto Met Yankee, and sure, it cost Met Yankee his ultimate, but that little burst heal was enough to give Neilma time to peel for his mage, and that's exactly what you want to see. That is very strong support play coming out from a rookie to the SPL. And
Allegiance basically won, when you think about it, a 3v4 on the front side, because if Neilma and MetYankee are being run down by one player, Verizio ends up falling, or doesn't get the kill, I suppose, but doesn't fall until later on. Allegiance was able to take that 3v4 engagement up by the Gold Fury.
It's because they didn't have the Cupid ultimate to cripple Weaken, and so having Susano finally get to utilize that mobility, it just gave him free reign to completely run down the rest of eUnited. No disarm available either because of the Bologna, and so it was really only Benji left to try and defend for really his backline.
Panda Cat gonna stop Neilma's back and flutter away. It's one of the most annoying things whenever you're this close to backing and then just one little auto attack stops you.
That's the point. Every single time. Sometimes just walking at somebody is enough to scare them into thinking that you're going to try and attack them.
New God passive. When you're backing, you get one hit of super armor. It doesn't stop your back. I'd play that God every game.
That sounds horrible.
What do you mean?
What?
You just don't get your back stopped.
When are you ever going to? What if they use 2 auto attacks?
Well, then you get stopped. But as long as you time it right, where you only get hit by 1, then it doesn't matter. Seems good to me. Verizio takes a decent amount of poke from Weaken and wants to chase him down with the help of Polar Bear Mike, but with Oceans lurking, good decision by eUnited's jungler to give up that chase.
I think that this is where it's going to start becoming a little problematic for United, and where Verizio in particular is going to need to be careful, because it's just so free for Weaken to run in, drop his kit, and then dash away. And Verizio, are you going to use your ultimate to try and return damage? And speaking of ultimate usage, Benji wanted to go in on Cyclone Spin, but he's looking for the disengage. Benji not really wanting to slow down, though.
I don't mind the idea there by Benji. Shut down the healing out of Cyclone Spin's ultimate, but with the dash still available, Cyclone knew that he was completely safe in that scenario. eUnited thinking about pulling this Gold Fury, but PBM going to get stunned out on the left-hand side. Allegiance knows that they can take that fight if necessary. Cyclone Spin, without a lot of fear, is going to push forward into this wave.
Benji has his Sunder, and now Cyclone has no mana.
This is really risky. Benji trying to close the gap. Sunder comes through slow as well. Cyclone does get the ultimate off and is getting that regen. CC immunity, just able to get him out of danger. And that's why Cyclone Spin plays, and we do not. Taco.
That is just insane to me still. I kind of can't believe that he got away with that.
He's going back to... No way. There's no way he goes back to lane here, right?
He's living life on the edge.
Cyclone
actually has no fear.
This man is this man is nuts.
Look at him. He's
hiding. Okay, so at least he's not showing Benji that he's going to be sticking around with, no ultimate and half HP. He's going to make sure that Benji's backing beforehand, so he's fine.
But I don't think Benji even had kill potential on him, even if he did go to the lane, because Cyclone, I mean, he still has dash available yet again, and on top of that, Benji didn't have an ult either.
There's a reason why Vamana is considered the, the safe warrior pick, Taco. I mean, incredibly quick movement speed, near the top in terms of in the game, behind, what, Mercury and tied with Chiron, I believe. And then he's got that dash as well. Very difficult to lock down the little baby.
Might be seeing him a lot more often, too, once that Death's Toll change comes through.
Always, every solo laner, when you start to play a role, you got to have certain gods in your god pool. And I don't think anyone doesn't play Vamana. You might not like playing Vamana, but you can play Vamana either way. I mean, this is a character that's been around in the solo lane forever, and that everyone just seems to have it ready to go.
Speaking of ready to go, Benji looking like he wants a round 2 with Cyclone, but all too easy. I mean, he just pretty much one-shots the wave now with a couple of abilities, so...
Vamana, like, waves as he's walking. You see that? His left hand is just like, hey, how you doing? Just imagine seeing that little tiny blue baby waving you down as he then comes and destroys your mage life. I'm having flashbacks already. Vamana destroys mages and it makes me sad. Oracles get split there. Verizio gonna find one with a stun, and Notions purifies away the other one. Now the Petrify comes through, but Verizio had the Aegis, doesn't take any damage, but doesn't have any mana and is very low. Good Stellar Burst comes out of Chaos, but it's not enough to close the gap, but a beautiful res coming out of PBM brings Verizio back. May still fall regardless, but putting a lot of damage into Oceans. Weaken will find him, and Cyclone cleans up PBM on the front side. Cyclone still making life difficult. Benji was forced out by MetYankee alone. Weaken with a double kill, 4 in total for him now. And Allegiance find 3 out of 5. Benji's gonna teleport in to try and stop this Gold Fury attempt, but Allegiance again come out on top.
That was a sick res though by Mike. Even though it costs 3 members of eUnited their lives. It was an engagement that Verizio I don't think should have ever taken. Ulting into 3 people when you only have enough mana for 2 abilities is kind of suspect, but he didn't really get away with it, or he did for a moment. I do, like I said, it was really well played by Polar Mike, but unfortunately for eUnited, ALG just had the better counter engage.
Matt Yankee does 1,000 damage exclusively to Benji because he was never in that engagement. It was just forcing Benji out, and that's a huge play for your mid laner to stop a big Osiris at 16 minutes from coming in and impacting the team fight. You saw just how much work Cyclone Spin was able to do, and if Benji's there for eUnited, that fight might go entirely differently.
Yeah, poor Chaos, because Mike didn't have his ultimate available to try and save his mid laner, and really there was just nothing more that he could have done in that situation.
Verizio has Thorns now that he's at level 12. In that front line, does have the Eagles rally and goes up and down with it. Weekend gonna knock up 2 with that Typhoon. Chaos gets blown up by Matt Yankee. Circle of Protection coming up huge there for Team Allegiance, and that puts double digits on the board for them. They secure the Portal Demon. Cyclone with the Umbrella Rang finds Verizio. PBM's gonna fall as well. Another 3 kills for Allegiance, and they march on to the middle lane.
Oh man, ALG is really starting to siege all forms of map control, and it looks like they're not planning on slowing down. Benji now the next target, ulting up and down into 4 members of ALG. Neilma wanting to give chase, but it could be Panda Cat who's actually caught out.
Panda has the ultimate still, and Allegiance didn't knock down this tier 1 quite yet. Everyone realizes, oh yeah, we gotta do this thing, but with an AoE coerce, it's not gonna take them very long to do it, and might be able to just go for the tier 2 here as well. Cyclone gonna force Panda Cat back, make sure that ultimate can't come out and stop this siege, as ALG take another 2,000 gold in their pockets.
So much of a swing in so little of time. That was just all beautifully played by ALG.
ALG has just looked so clean this split. I mean, they've looked so good, and I think this is the team that a lot of people wanted to see whenever Weekend and Cyclone Spin reunited at the end of Season 3, with Matt Yankee moving into mid and Oceans having this star power capability. This is what everyone wanted, and Allegiance giving it to their fans now. Fire Giant is started here by eUnited, and they've got the Frenzy as well. Weekend focusing down Verizio, but a good Eagles rally gets him out of the Typhoon knockup. Fire Giant's still raging on, but not a lot of damage onto the objective. Neilma has just made it very difficult to focus on the objective. Chaos finally does knock him down, but he bought enough time for the rest of ALG to arrive. Weekend on the run, but a beautiful spirit ball over the wall knocks down Benji. Gonna force him into a bad spot. Will find the kill onto Oceans though, and he's heading back towards PBM.
And I think he's gonna get away with murder as well. There's really nothing that Oceans could have done there. The Sunder was well played by Benji. He found that little gap is all that he needed to secure the kill. And while the Fire Giant didn't go in favor of eUnited, still securing 2 kills, that's definitely a solid trade-off considering what just happened in the past 3 minutes.
Good call. Look at this team fight recap and exactly how much eUnited got. More than Team Allegiance, almost 3 times as much XP. Quite a bit of gold as well. Much needed, certainly, at this stage of the game. So as you mentioned, in that sort of scenario, eUnited's never actually looking to do Fire Giant. They're just asking Allegiance to come and stop them so that they can actually fight and try and win it.
They knew that they would be staggering in 1 by 1 to that Fire Giant pit because it was just Neilma who stuck around trying to, because Neilma knew that at least 1 member needed to stay to ensure that eUnited couldn't free secure Fire Giant. So Allegiance were definitely aware of that. It's just Fafnir couldn't buy that enough time. He bought time, but not enough time for Allegiance to come all at once. And so that 1 by 1 trickle in is really what led to being in eUnited's favor.
Well, ALG still in control despite eUnited getting the better end of that last little engagement by the Fire Giant. ALG's up 12-5 in kills. About 8,000 gold in the lead as well. 7,000 in terms of experience, and could expect ALG to continue to group up at this stage or split the map because eUnited is the one that's grouped up. When you got a lead like this, you can really go for either one, both counter the other. So it's always an interesting dynamic as Allegiance find the tier 1 tower and left. There's only 2 towers left remaining on the map, Taco. That's the side lane tier 2s. And
it's looking like Weekend and Oceans want to try and pressure into this. Verizio is here to defend, but I'm not sure how well he can defend against these 2 members. Thorns are popped, but the Sunder is good from Weekend. So is the ultimate. Both ultimates expended into Verizio, and he won't die.
He's still alive. Panda Cat's here now. Drops the Fields of Love, hits the Heart Bomb. Chaos should be able to clean this one up. Surprise, surprise, Oceans. You're done. Chaos with his 3rd kill. Now Supernova juked out beautifully easily by Weekend. He's going to be able to escape. Chaos may have stepped a little bit too far forward. Benji eats a lot of damage from Met Yankee and Neil Maz. Cyclone Spin now going in 1v3 in typical Cyclone Spin fashion. Does get sundered and the Frenzy popped, so that will force him back in that Colossal Fury, but a good defense there out of eUnited.
I do believe that Cyclone Sunder was just off the mark as well, but with Ocean still being dead on the side of ALG, I can see eUnited pressuring this. They want the Gold Fury. 3
members here. They have ward coverage, but Cyclone Spin is teleported back. Weekend is here as well, and he's the one putting a little bit of damage onto Benji. Actually ends up getting the better end, but Benji decides he just wants to zone out this jungler. Gold Fury started here by eUnited, already very low, but Neilma resets it with that Draconic transformation. Benji now is going to use the ultimate to jump right on top of Met Yankee. Can't get away from the Osiris too easily. Cyclone Spin knocks up multiple members as Weekend then takes his turn to get in there and cause a little disruption. But Allegiance is really just doing this to juggle eUnited around and make sure they can't get this objective easily.
And that was, it's so well played by ALG. They're not permitting any time. This is what they wanted to happen with that Fire Giant engagement, and now it's actually going to be Allegiance, since Oceans has returned, looking to engage onto this Gold Fury, and with the Ice's ultimate being dropped, I don't see how they lose the secure.
They don't lose it. Met Yankee's the one to secure it with that Circle of Protection. Cyclone Spin had his ultimate again and is still on the run. 4-man knockup coming out of Weekend for Riziel now on the run. Oceans is going to fall between the ultimates out of Chaos and Panda Cat, but Allegiance get their 3rd Gold Fury of the game, only losing 1 member for it.
Pretty fortunate for eUnited, however, that they didn't lose any return members, because I thought for sure with that knockup from Weekend that Allegiance was going to be able to pursue. Excellent placement of the ultimate by Panda Cat.
Really nice job. He's been using that Fields of Love pretty effectively in this one. Only has 1 kill to show for it, but has made it difficult for Weekend, Oceans, Neilma, I mean, you name it, to get around the team fights too easily with that giant Fields of Love.
It's actually kind of funny to say, because you don't typically expect it to be the ADC, but it almost feels like Oceans has been a bit of a sacrificial lamb this game for Allegiance, kind of getting targeted out by that Fields of Love.
eUnited want this Fire Giant again. Looking for it, not the Portal Demon. Cyclone Spin is here. There's the Frenzy Pop coming out of eUnited, and immediately Neilma into the backline, disrupting it. Fire Giant already pretty low, though, here. Taco doesn't get reset for the time being. Veriziel gets stunned into the lava pool, and the Fire Giant is taking him down. Speaking of taking down, Benji's going to take down Neilma on the front side, as Cyclone finds one of his own. Veriziel, the one to fall on the side of eUnited. Oceans shows up and immediately starts tearing through Benji. That Judgment Tether doing a decent amount of work to get him out of danger, but no one's in the back to protect Panda Cat. He falls to Cyclone Spin. Chaos next on the list, gets into this Apparate form, but is just buying himself some time. Cyclone squishes him down. Benji's gonna get cleaned up, as will PBM. It's gonna be a deicide here for Allegiance, and Weekend spamming the taunts in return for Veriziel's earlier on, only losing Neilma in the process, and now Allegiance, they're gonna be the ones to get this Fire Giant.
The downside of taunting just a little bit too soon. I mean, it might have been a slight confidence boost for him, but if anything, it just, I think, fueled Allegiance even more, because these fights have just been so clutch. Beautiful.
Met Yankee played that fight really, really well, stunning Veriziel into the Fire Giant pool. A little bit of luck, also probably a little bit of skill involved, and it ends up getting him very, very low, allows Cyclone Spin to clean it up. Benji did his best, but that's so tough whenever you're trying to clean up a low member and it turns out to be the support. Then you've got Met Yankee and Oceans who can just basically handle your damage at that point without your ultimate.
Yeah, that was just so unfortunate for Benji, but man, I mean, the lockdown for Neilma is almost non-existent, and every time they try to commit to him, it seems as though they're always finding themselves in an unfavorable situation, because Polar Bear Mike, I feel like he can provide an excellent peel, but only against 1 member. And when you have a Susano and a Vaman constantly running down your soul, there's really nothing he can do to try and prevent them from just holding W.
Good luck peeling both those characters off. Cyclone Spin, he's 7-0-5 in this one. Top of the player damage charts as well. Really showing up in game number 2. Had a very good game number 1 as well. Nothing to take away from that. But this time around on the Vamana, just really making everyone from eUnited run away from him. Weekend has to run away from Panda Cat, uses Purification Beads there in response to Panda Cat's ultimate, so could try and abuse that jungler once more as Benji gets abused by the long-range Spear Ball out of Met Yankee. Oceans the one who's going to get the credit for the kill. Tier 2 tower starting to fall. Verizial eats a big chunk of damage from that circle of protection. Scarab's Blessing's on top of him, but it's not going to save Chaos. He's going to fall to weaken. Verizial gets revived, but immediately in trouble from Cyclone Spin trying to chase him down. Panda Cat controlled and knocked down as well. Verizial going to die underneath the middle Phoenix, and Allegiance in 26 minutes finds the second game 2-0 over eUnited.
This has just been, it was really just like one fight in both games that really just determined the outcome. And as soon as AO